now, yeah. Just so that I understand, why was it that the court commissioner didn't fill this out? Because the instructions say that they will probably fill it out for you. And since you didn't give me notice of court hearings, what exactly was the incident that you used as justification for issuing the protection order? Because you can't use what happened on Guam. My record was expunged. I actually have not spoke. You can't make up bullshit, okay? I have done exactly what the law requires. Yes. And now, this packet of information that you provide under the penalty of perjury, yes. I certify under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of Washington that the above information is true and correct concerning myself and is accurate to the best of my knowledge. Could you get me those signatures of all the penalties of perjury? Every time that you put anything as it pertains, right, to what was experienced on Guam after my record was expunged, you violated the penalty of perjury. Now, there was something about yesterday we were looking at these different obstructions of justice. Yes, yes, yes. Something about perjury. It wasn't penalty of perjury. There's a legal way to explain putting false information on applications for the motioning of a court. Now, it was not admissible, the incident on Guam after my record was expunged. The court finds, has jurisdiction over the parties, the minors, and the subject matter? Yes. The respondent will be served notice of his or her opportunity to be heard at the scheduled hearing. The RCW 26.50.070. For good cause shown, the court finds an emergency exists. Can there be an emergency after the expungement of a person's record that was accused of domestic violence? No, it can't. Violates the penalty of perjury. The court never had jurisdiction over the parties, the minors, the subject matter. Remove your fucking court orders right now. There was no possible way that you could reissue a temporary protection order after you issued the first one. You couldn't issue the protection order while I was on trial. Yes. And as soon as I was found not guilty, I think it was the next month that I got a copy of that expungement. Yes. You have no justification for the issuance of any court orders. None. I wasn't able to talk to my sons. I haven't spoke to my wife. Yes. I don't know where she lives, but I'll tell you this right now. Once my record was expunged, it could never be admitted as the evidence for needing to issue an emergency temporary protection order. You never had the right to violate my right to notice of court hearings. Yes. Now, she could say whatever she wants. Yes. But she could not use the arrest or the time I spent in jail after my record was expunged. Well, uh, just looking at it, yes. Court of Washington order for protection, yes. They have the temporary order for protection and notice of hearing, yes. Every temporary protection order, the first one was fraudulent, but every temporary protection order after August of 2012 was illegal. Now, you reissued it while I was on trial? Yes. You issued it for 1 year after July 6th of 2012? Yes. What was the justification for reissuing, modifying the terms of the protection order? It was that I went to I went to visit a pastor and prayed about the dissolution of marriage. I did put that I didn't want to get divorced. Ooch. And then the case resolution closed by court order after a hearing. Yes. Reissuing temporary protection order. Yes. What was the justification? Every time You know, I visited with Pastor Greg Miller, just the two of us. Yeah, we prayed. Yeah, and then you modified the protection order, and then you reissued it in 2013. Exactly what was the reason for doing that? Well, I can get you a copy of the expungement. The court has jurisdictions over the parties and minors, and the respondent will be served notice of his or her opportunity to be heard at the scheduled hearing. Yes. This is the temporary order for protection and notice of hearing. Yes. It says that I will be served notice of his or her opportunity to be heard at the scheduled hearing. Yes. When you reissued the temporary protection order by minute order, do you see court commissioner based? And yes, any place in the actual document known as temporary order for protection and notice of hearing that you had any jurisdiction over the parties, the minor, or the subject matter? Yes. While I was on trial and Judge Porter had jurisdiction over the parties, no, the minors and the subject matter. Now, when you think about District Court Judge Porter, the jury trial that I was involved in, exactly which of the two court officers had the individual that was officiating, yes, hearing the case, or was it based in, yes, did you actually have any jurisdiction, yes, over the parties considered the petitioner was named as a witness in the jury trial? Which, WITCH, of the two court employees, Judge Porter, yes, or Brent Basden, had jurisdiction to reissue an emergency temporary protection? Um, while I was on trial, yes, maybe my public defender at that time remembers when I was found not guilty. Yes. See, I just had called Healthy Families to find out if they got the documentation that I had completed 7 hours of parenting classes. They'd gotten the professional evaluations, the drug and alcohol evaluations, where I hadn't used any drugs or alcohol for 20 years. Yes. Got the evaluation from the individual that suggested marriage reconciliation. Yes. And then did get the information from the prosecuting attorney on Guam that I had a 1 year probation, and at the end of that 1 year probation, my record was expunged as if it were destroyed. Now, you can't use a minute order. It says that you will be served. Yes. Served notice of his opportunity to be heard at the scheduled hearing. Now, you're using your court orders to keep me from my sons. Did you want a copy of the expungement? Could you remove your fraud from the judicial system of the United States? Now, just so you know, okay, every oath, badge, attorney, and mandatory reporter that allowed for this court to issue a court order, yes, where there is no signature of the petitioner, yes, there is no due process to the respondent. There are no protections of civil rights to the 5 minors named, yes, and there is forgeries, and the fraudulent use of the state court seal for every time that you used as an excuse to make a judgment as a court What had happened on July 2nd of 2011? Yes. After my record was expunged, I'm going to sue every one of you. Yes. And then I'm going to sue all of those that are complicit in the conspiracy to defraud the United States of the protections of the Constitution. Now, if